Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about winter driving techniques, skills, and strategies to keep you safe, keep you out of the ditch. Stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Mallory is here. Jenna is here from Newfoundland. Ben is here from Minnesota. Colin is here from Ontario. Where in Ontario, Colin, are you taking your driver's test tomorrow? It's going to rain. Make sure that for the purposes of your driving test, you can turn on the windshield wipers, the high-low beams for the headlights, and the defrost, because if it's raining and it's cool, as it does get in the fall, you're probably going to have to be able to keep the windows clear, so you're going to have to be able to turn on the defrost, so know how to do that. And on most cars, for the defrost, all the way to high on the fan, which is going to be the first dial, and then the third one all the way to the right, all the way clockwise, is going to be the defrost. So those three controls for the purposes of your driver's test: high-low beams, defrost, windshield wipers, and know how to turn those on both high and low for the purposes of your test, especially if it starts to rain there. All right, Martinez is in California taking your driver's test on Friday. Awesome. Ben is here. Ben is obsessed with women's makeup. I'm not sure whether we should be concerned about that or not, but it's his thing. Jim Bob is here. Hello, my friend. Rear window while parking. All the schools here, too backed up to take me out. Didn't know that rule. Awesome. So happy we can help out, Jenna, because yes, with COVID rules relaxing, all of the restrictions being lifted, we're beginning to see the backup in terms of driving tests. Driving schools are completely backed up, and fortunately, because of YouTube and other technology, I can help you out, which is great. Colin, is there a rule about not having the rear wiper constantly in the rain? Colin, you won't need the rear wiper so much. You can turn it on intermittent, and then every once in a while it'll just come on, and that'll work for you, okay? Brandon in Ohio, where we have that maneuverability test and look forward to. Yes, you do. And I would argue that the Ohio maneuverability test, despite the challenges of doing that for those of you that live in the Buckeye, which is the nickname for the state of Ohio, it makes you a better driver because you learn where your vehicle is in space and place, how to move the vehicle forward, how to move the vehicle in reverse. So if you can practice, and when you're learning how to drive and do the Ohio maneuverability test, it is a better exercise, I would argue, than the parallel parking. So I know it's tough, but think of the people in Europe who are taking driving tests. They're learning how to do it on a manual transmission and in cities that didn't grow up with the motor car. So it's a good exercise. Diana, hello, my friend. Help me pass my driving test. Greetings from Washington State. That is awesome news, Diana. Congratulations on passing your driving test there in the state of Washington. Awesome, awesome. Adeline, I failed so many times and I don't know what to do anymore. Adeline, keep going. You've only been unsuccessful. You haven't failed. You only fail once you give up, okay? Jim Bob, is there an emergency vehicle heading to you in the opposite direction? You don't stop. Is that a fail? Absolutely, Jim Bob. It is a fail. If you don't pull over, regardless of whether the emergency vehicle is coming up from behind or whether it's coming in the other lane, if you don't stop for that emergency vehicle, that is an automatic fail on a driver's test. And if you're at an intersection, sometimes it's best just to stay stopped, okay? And Corey's put up the video for the Ohio maneuverability test. Thank you for that, Corey. That is awesome. And I didn't introduce Corey. Bricks for Wheels, he's the man there with the wrench. He is the moderator, does an excellent job of getting up the videos that I suggest you have a look at for more details. All right, so let's get over to the presentation here, and we'll get going on that, and then we'll come back. It's about 10 minutes, and then the remainder of it, of the presentation, or the remainder of the hour, we'll spend answering any questions you have about passing a driver's test, driving in inclement weather, being a safer, smarter driver, or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. Just before we get started here, pass your driver's test first time. It's a course over at the Smart Drive Test website. You can pick that up for about $38 US. That will guarantee that you pass your driver's test first time. As well, on the note of winter driving and defensive driving smart, we also include those two courses as a bonus and those will reduce your chances, significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. So check those out over at the Smart Drive Test website and pick up that course and be guaranteed to pass your driver's test first time. Winter driving, damn gum, stuck in the ditch again. And yes, vehicles do end up in the ditches, and not surprising, it's a pickup truck. There are studies to show that pickup truck drivers are more aggressive than other types of drivers. And as well, if you watch some of my videos here, you'll see that pickup trucks have the phenomena of an imbalance of weight, which causes them to be less stable on the roadways in compromised conditions, i.e. in the rain and the snow and those types of things. For those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a long-haul truck driver in the 1990s, moving freight back and forth between Canada and the United States, mostly the eastern seaboard, everything east of the Mississippi. Did make it out to California and Utah a couple of times, but mostly east of the Mississippi. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. I'm a commercial driving instructor in the province of Ontario, in the state of Victoria in Australia, and as well here in British Columbia. 2006, I graduated from the University of Melbourne in Australia with a doctorate in legal history, which is the study of policing prisons and courts. And my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. While I was going to university, I drove for Greyhound in Australia and some of the regional bus lines, so I have bus experience as well. And if you want to know more about me and about the Smart Drive Test channel, you can read the biography over at the Smart Drive Test website, and Corey will put that link up for us. Hello, my friend Goose. Goose is here. Oh, it's wrong. Sorry, hit the wrong button there. There we go. New video this week. I redid the video on hill parking. I think it's a more comprehensive video than the original, which was 3 times as long. So we've redone that video after 5 years and giving you some more information. Actually, we have some pretty awesome drone shots in that as well. So my friend, so have a look at that video. Corey will put the link up for you. The first thing about driving in the wintertime and inclement weather, and Colin here was taking his test. He's thinking it's going to rain. Make sure that you do a pre-trip inspection on your vehicle before you head down for your driver's test. As well, make sure that you have your windshield washer fluid topped up, especially this time of year. It helps to get a bit of frost and ice off your windshield if you have your windshield washer topped up. As well, if it gets kind of dirty, then what's going to happen is when the sand trucks are out and those types of things, they're going to throw up mud, they're going to get sand on your vehicle, and your windshield is going to get dirty. So you're going to need windshield washer fluid. As well, make sure that you use winter washer fluid. Don't use summer washer fluid in the wintertime, because as we know, ice freezes and it expands, it gets bigger. The reservoir in your car is made of plastic, and because it's plastic, it will expand and crack the reservoir, and you'll have to get it replaced. So make sure that you're using winter washer fluid. If it's just too dirty, there's been a few times I've been across the Trans-Canada here in British Columbia, lots of sand on the roadways. I've actually had to go into a fuel station and use the squeegees to clean the windows on the car because it was just so terribly dirty from the spray off the big trucks and those types of things. So know that. Washer fluid, good windshield wipers, and as well, Corey will put the video up for you on Trico windshield wipers. I put new ones on a couple of years ago. I did a review on the Trico windshield wipers, and those are still going strong on my buggy. And it was, I don't know, Corey will put the date up for you too on that video because it was a couple of years ago, and I'm still using those windshield wipers. And it comes back to, you know, don't cheap out on windshield wipers, don't cheap out on garden hose, because it'll just come back to haunt you and you'll just end up throwing them out in the bin. And you know, the Trico windshield wipers were $80, but like I said, 2 years later I'm still using them. Good tires. Make sure that you have good winter tires on your vehicle, all of them matching. And many highways here in British Columbia and other states and provinces, you have to have winter tires to be able to go on these highways. They have to be either M&S rated, or they have to have this mountain snowflake symbol on them. Get tires with good siping on them. Siping is the tread pattern through the tire, and it has to be able to flex to be able to get that snow out of the tires. And as well, in rain, tires have to be able to pump up to a gallon of water out from underneath the tire per second. So tires do a lot of work when they're going up and down the road. And the other night, I thought that my all-season tires on the buggy were really good, but the other night I was driving down. We were having some pretty good rain here, and the vehicle was actually hydroplaning. If you're experiencing hydroplaning while you're driving down the road, make sure that you've got your foot on the throttle, because if you just let off the throttle and slow down a little bit, usually that'll bring the tires back in contact with the pavement. As well, make sure your tires are properly inflated. Most newer cars are going to have tire pressure gauges, warnings, sensors rather, in the vehicle, which is going to tell you whether you have good pressure in your tires or that sort of thing. But, you know, maybe once a month, just put a tire gauge on them and absolutely make sure that they're properly inflated. Stopping on ice. Get off the brake, get off the gas, steer the vehicle where you want to go, get out of the main rut. Sometimes you may have to drive over to the shoulder of the road to be able to get some traction to get into the gravel and those types of things. But you have to get out of the main ruts where the cars are driving to be able to get some traction and get off the ice and those types of things. Loss of control. The reason that we lose controls of our vehicle is because of overuse of the primary controls: the steering wheel, the brake, and the throttle, the accelerator, the gas pedal. So too much use of that and compromised conditions, so the roadway is slippery or whatnot. If you oversteer, you're going to lose control of the vehicle. If you hold the brake down, push the brake, and hold the brake, you're going to lose control of the vehicle. And if you kick down the throttle and it's slippery, you can again lose control of the vehicle. Okay, oversteering is when the back end of the vehicle comes around. Understeering is when you turn the steering wheels and nothing happens. The vehicle continues to go straight. And often that's what will happen in the wintertime. If you turn the steering wheels and step on the brake pedal, the vehicle will just continue to go straight. Oversteering also happens because you're braking while you're going into a corner, and many times, because most of us are driving front-wheel drive vehicles or all-wheel drive vehicles, if the vehicle is oversteering, oftentimes your best choice is to get your foot into the throttle. You want to be powering through the corner, not necessarily accelerating, but you do want the wheels to have power to the wheels. But the thing is, with oversteering, if you're going too fast, sometimes it's just you've misjudged the corner before you even got there. And if conditions are slippery, there isn't anything you're going to be able to do about it to regain control of that vehicle. You're simply going too fast and you're going to lose control of the vehicle. And here next week, I'll see if I can dig up the video of when I spun out there last year. I'll have a look here after this, and then we'll go for that. Okay. So understeering, as I said, is when you have the steer tires turned, but the vehicle is continuing to go straight. You're traveling too fast in a corner on slippery conditions, and the steer tires simply can't get traction. Chop steering. So you bring the steer tires back down to the turning. You want them to turn and then bring them back to straight and bring them back down. And you do that in a quick motion, and it's called chop steering. Racing drivers do it, especially rally car drivers. And you'll see them do it to try and regain control of the steering of the vehicle so it starts to come around. And that's one of the techniques and skills you could do in the winter time. Okay, so chop steering, understeering, pull and release the steering wheel to regain traction, and look in the direction you want the vehicle to go. As well, in terms of an emergency in the wintertime or any other time that you may lose control of your vehicle, make sure that you have your seatbelt fastened. It's not just to keep you safe in the event of a crash, it's also to keep you in your seat in the event of an emergency, because if you're not in your seat, in the driver's seat, really tough to drive the car. The other thing you can do is most newer vehicles will have a dead pedal, which is the pedal that you rest your left foot on. For most of you, that is actually adopted from racing, and the dead pedal, you can put your left foot on it and push yourself back into the seat to hold yourself in the seat so that you can continue to maintain control of the vehicle. All right, skid control. If you go into a skid, first and foremost, drive in the conditions, drive for the conditions of the roadway. And as you can see, we have another pickup truck involved in a collision here. Okay, steer in the direction you want to go. Use chop steering. Get off both the brake and throttle and steer in the direction that you want to go. And get out of the ruts. Get out of the tracks where other vehicles are driving. All right. That's what you need to do. Skid recovery. Steer in the direction you want to go. Don't give up. Work the steering wheel. Sometimes you're going to have to work really hard to do that. I've already talked about making sure you have your seatbelt fastened. And if a crash is imminent, slow your speed as much as possible. Get on the brakes as quickly as possible. You'll be fascinated with a bit more experience, for those of you who are new to driving, how quickly the vehicle will slow down. It'll slow down really quickly once you get off the throttle and it's actually starting to go into a spin and those types of things. Look in the direction you want to go. Steer like a mad person. Don't give up. And if you're going to hit something, if hitting something is imminent, try and aim for something that's small. Try not to aim for a tractor trailer that's coming at you. Try and get off the edge of the road, hit a bush or hit a fence or something like that, as opposed to hitting a big boulder or driving into the side of a cliff or whatnot. Okay, aim for something small. So in conclusion, adjust your speed to the conditions of the roadway. The reason that a lot of people get into trouble in the wintertime or when it's slippery out is they're simply driving too fast for conditions, or they're driving too fast. They're driving beyond their ability, their capabilities, okay? Have good tires on your vehicle. Most people here in British Columbia and other places have their winter tires on by now. And there's highways that you must have winter tires on. Most all-season tires are going to be rated for winter. They'll either have the M&S symbol on them or the mountain snowflake symbol. I have all-season Michelins on the buggy right now. They're rated for winter, but they're not winter tires. And as soon as it gets colder here and starts to snow, we haven't had any cold weather here, then I'll throw the winter tires on it. Skid control, steer in the direction you want to go. If hitting something is imminent, aim for something small, okay? And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. So getting back here, simply clouds. I love your videos. I have horrible observation skills sometimes to the point where it is dumb. How I improve my observation skills? So it's just a matter of lots of head movement while you're turning, maneuvering, getting close to other things. One of the things that you can kind of think about when you're close to other fixed objects and other traffic, think of it like walking through a doorway with something big in your hands, like a big box. When you go through a doorway, you tend to slow down. You tend to observe more, because if you go fast through the doorway where space is limited, you could bang your hands on the doorway or run into the doorway or drop the box or whatnot. So think of it like that when you're getting near other fixed objects or you're getting near other traffic on the roadway. You got to slow down. You got to observe more to make sure that you don't hit other things on the roadway or drive into fixed objects and whatnot. So lots of head movement, and Corey will put up the video for you on how to observe when driving, and that'll give you a lot more information about that. Actually, Corey's already beat me to it. He already put the video up for you on how to observe. So thanks for that, Corey. Courtney, I'm retaking my test this Friday. Aced my parallel park and 2-point turn, but didn't do well on shoulder checks, left turns. He also got upset that I didn't turn right on a red light. Advice, Courtney, have a look at that video that Corey just put up on how to observe as well. Have a look at the video on how to turn right on a red light. And remember, and I'll put the video up here in the next month or so for the mock road test that I did with Big Mac Sam down in New York in the Bronx. And know that you can't turn right on a red light. So make sure that you're looking for those signs as well when you're driving, whether you can turn right on a red light. Because if you turn right on a red light on a driver's test, contrary to a regulatory sign, because it is a regulatory sign, that's an automatic fail on a driver's test. Goose, can you talk about the traction control feature? Personally, I don't like it during a snowstorm. Thoughts? Goose, yes. A lot of people don't like the traction control device during slippery conditions, and yes, you can just turn it off, which, it depends on your own ability, your own comfort with that control and those types of things. It's a little bit like ABS brakes, which I wish you could turn off during slippery conditions as well, because in the wintertime you come up to an intersection and it's icy and slippery, because intersections, by their very nature of traffic at intersections, are slippery because you get the snow. It's packed down at the intersection, and then the cars come up, they hit the brakes skid and heats the snow up, and then it melts, and then it freezes and melts and freezes. And what happens at intersections, if they're not well sanded and salted, is you get ice right at the intersection. So stability control or traction control, what it does and it works different in every car depending on all-wheel drive, you know, real-time four-wheel drive or whatever you've got. Most vehicles now are going to be all-wheel drive. Anything in the last 10 years is going to be all-wheel drive. There's going to be some front-wheel drives and those types of things, but most, you know, all of these SUVs and those types of things. So with stability control, basically what it does is the computer is detecting wheel spin, and it's using the sensors for the ABS, the anti-lock braking system on the vehicle, and it's detecting wheel spin. So if you're, and it's a lot more complicated than that too, and I can't possibly explain it here. Maybe what I'll do here is I'll do some more research, but this is the preliminary of what I know. Is when you go around a corner and it begins to detect that one wheel is losing power or grip, depending on how the vehicle is set up, it will transfer power to the other wheels. It'll just, and then you'll get, you know, to try and maintain the equilibrium of the vehicle. And what I mean by the equilibrium is the balance, because what happens in a vehicle, and braking is the best example, is that when you come up and brake, the vehicle sits down, the front of the vehicle sits down, and the back end lifts up, and now the vehicle's not stable anymore. It's the same thing when you go around a corner, and it's, you know, most corners on highways now for purposes of safety are cambered. It's called cambered when the road tilts up like this. And it's the same thing when the car goes around a corner like this, it lifts up like this. These wheels on the outside, because the vehicle's going around a corner, are spinning faster than the ones on the inside. So the computer in your car, in terms of stability control, traction control, are monitoring all of this suspension activity that's going on, how fast the wheels are spinning, and as soon as it detects wheel spin or it detects slide in the wheels, it will transfer power to one of the other wheels. Whether it works ideally or not, yes, it works very well, no doubt about it. But on slippery conditions, it's difficult for the computer to keep up with that, so sometimes it's better just to turn it off in slippery conditions and just go with the car at a slower speed and drive the car, because the stability control and the traction control may or may not work well in slippery conditions depending on the brand of vehicle that you have. All right, Courtney, my instructor wanted me to turn right on a red light and I didn't, which is why he got upset. Okay, Courtney, but he can't fail you for that unless, you know, you're sitting there for a whole traffic light and there's no other traffic around. Then yes, I have, you know, that's a discretionary thing with examiners. You can wait for the green light if there's other traffic and stuff around, but if it's if the intersection's empty and you're not going on a red light, then yes, it gives cause to the examiner to be upset. Unfortunately, it's just a discretionary thing. Corey says, I do like traction control on my little Nissan Micra. It needs it in the winter time. Okay, awesome. Goose, I think you need to hold my traction control button down for 3 seconds to turn it off. Haven't quite figured it out yet. Tried climbing an icy hill last winter and failed. Okay, so Goose, icy hills, traction control's really not designed for that kind of thing. That's just a matter of traction with the wheels getting traction to the ground. And if you've got front wheel drive in your vehicle, Goose, and you're trying to pull up an icy hill, that's probably not going to be the best thing for you. Actually, Goose, what you might have to do is turn the vehicle around and go up in reverse if it's actually a slippery hill. That's just a matter of traction. That's not a matter of your traction control on your vehicle. Okay, Blessed, my friend, how are you? Awesome. And Blessed is there in Hawaii, where it's still warm, as opposed to the rest of us entering into winter. Ben, I'm back bowling on Tuesday nights, and again, I'm getting better, just like I did for driving. Awesome. Colin, do you have any quick tips for my G road test tomorrow in Ontario? Yes, Colin, all road tests have 4 components. Speed management, we'll start with space management, speed management, observation, and communication. Okay, those are the 4 main components of a driver's test. Space management, don't get near anything. That way it's less likely you're going to hit something. Stopping at controlled intersections. Stop behind the stop line, stop behind the crosswalk or sidewalk. If those 2 conditions don't exist, then stop at the edge of the road where the 2 roads meet. So just before entering the intersection. Stop in traffic so that you can see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. Don't enter an intersection you can't clear. If you're in the intersection and the light turns red, that's an automatic failure on a driver's test. Red and yellow lights mean the same thing for the purposes of a driver's test. Stop. So space management, make sure you have a 3 to 4 second following distance at all times during your driving test. All right. Left and right turns, you've probably got all of that down. Speed management for the purposes of your driver's test, the posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. Communication, make sure that you're communicating effectively with other road users. The main way that you're going to communicate with other road users is lights and signals. You're going to have signals, so make sure before you do any turning, any maneuver, that you've got minimum 3 flashes on the signal before you move the vehicle laterally or turn. Signals, 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 lights and signals. Horn, use your horn sparingly. Eye contact, make sure you get eye contact with other road users, pedestrians, and cyclists if you don't know what they're doing. Hand gestures, make sure you use all 5 fingers. Don't tell another road user he or she is number 1 on a driver's test. The last way that we communicate on the roadway is the position of the road user on the roadway. So, for example, if there's a pedestrian near a crosswalk, there's a good chance that he or she is going to cross the road. If there's another vehicle in a left turning lane, there's a good chance that that vehicle is going to turn left. So that's observation. That's communication, not observation. Observation, make sure that you have a forward scanning pattern when you're driving. Far down the road, in, check your center mirror. Far down the road, both shoulders, in, check your instrument panel. Far down the road, check your wing mirror on the left. Far down the road, check your right wing mirror. Repeat that scanning pattern every 8 to 12 seconds. Changing lanes. Okay, minimum 3 mirror signal shoulder check. Look forward again. Check again. Your space is good. Start moving over. Power to the wheels. You'll speed up a couple of kilometers an hour because you're covering more distance as you're going on a diagonal. Leave your signal on the entire time that you're changing lanes. Parking. 360-degree scan. Make sure you communicate. Make sure you signal when you're reversing as well. Make sure when you come out of the parking lot at the test center that you signal in the direction you're going to turn the vehicle when you come out of the parking space. Backing up, 360-degree scan, make sure you're looking out the back window. You can use your mirrors, you can use your backup camera, but use them sparingly. Most of your vision has to be out the back window when you're reversing for your purposes of your driver's test. For your driver's test in Ontario, parallel parking, 3-point turn, and backing into a parking space. Make sure that you can do those 3 maneuvers for the purposes of your driver's test. And last but not least, make sure that you shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. Okay, and shoulder checking 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Every time you turn, every time you move the vehicle sideways, make sure that you're shoulder checking for the purposes of your driver's test. Cole, hi Rick, I got my test rescheduled for November 4th. That's awesome. You're going to do great there on November 4th for your driver's test. Remind me again, Cole, where are you taking your driver's test? Johnny, hey Rick, I'm driving in the left lane of a parkway divided by a concrete median. An emergency vehicle approaches from behind. Can I stop in the left lane or should I pull to the right? No, Johnny, you should pull to the right lane. Parkways, which suggests to me that you are in the state of New York. If you're in the state of New York on a parkway, you definitely need to move over to the right lane because traffic may or may not stop completely on the parkway. Everybody just might move over to the right lane and then just drive along and allowing the emergency vehicle to go through on the left lane. So definitely get out of the left lane and get over to the right lane. Cole, you're in Minnesota. Awesome. So you're going to be able to get going there in the land of 10,000 lakes and you're going to pass your driver's test. Okay, so make sure that if it gets cold, you know how to turn on the windshield wipers, you know how to turn on the defrost and the high-low beams for the purposes of your driver's test there in Minnesota. Okay. Crystal, I did better today than I did last Sunday in terms of driving, practicing. I now need to practice picking up speed for real driving like on the road. Yes, and Crystal, and this is the other piece about driver's tests and people learning how to drive. As Crystal just said, get the vehicle up to speed as quickly as possible. Not so much in cars because, students pick this up pretty quickly, but when I was in the tractor trailer, when I was teaching people how to drive in the tractor trailer, they'd be driving along, they'd be driving all namby-pamby like, ooh, and I'd just like look out the window and then I'd start laughing, and of course the student would look at me going, what are you laughing about? I'm like, Yeah, there goes my grandma in her walker. She just passed us. Can we please get this thing going? Okay, so it's kind of a new learner driver thing, but you got to get the vehicle up to speed. You got to get it going as quickly as you can for the purposes of your driver's test. Goose, if you're in the left lane and an EMS appears, can you pull over into the double left turning lane? So Goose, you're in a double left turning lane, so that tells me you're at a complex intersection. Goose, if you're at a complex intersection, oftentimes it's just best just to stop and stay where you are. And because oftentimes what happens with emergency vehicles, in my experience, is you stop, the traffic on the other side stops, and the emergency vehicle comes up, goes out into the other lane, weaves through the intersection, and then carries on. So usually it's better to just stop at the intersection than to try and move out of the way for the purposes of the emergency vehicle. McCoy, my test is November 5th in Poughkeepsie. Yes, that is in New York, so you're going to do fine. You got any questions, anything you're concerned about, or anything that you're working on for the purposes of your driver's test? Colin, thank you so much, Rick. I will let you know on the next live stream how I did. Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you, Colin. Awesome. Epic, for winter driving, try to carry emergency kit, snow shovel, and de-icer for windshield. Make sure you follow any speed limits set by the jurisdiction. Yes, and drive to the conditions of the roadway. And what Epic just said there about de-icer, the other winter washer fluid that you can use that's really good is Rain-X. Rain-X is really good. It's an antifreeze that goes in the windshield washer. It'll also put on a chemical coating on your windshield to allow the windshield, the spray and that sort of thing to wash off your windshield, or to, what do they call that? Streaking? It's not called streaking. Streaking is something else when you take your clothes off. We're talking about repelling the water on your windshield. That's what, what we're talking about. Oh, anyway. Irvin, that will be my first winter in a tractor trailer. I am trying to use the 6% downgrade in West Virginia. Yes, West Virginia. West Virginia is called the Mountain State, and there's a reason it's called the Mountain State. It's either uphill or downhill in that state, and 6% is a good grade. Irvin, how long is that 6% grade? Because that can make a difference too. A 6% grade that's only a couple of miles long isn't a big deal, but a 6% grade that's 10, 15 miles, that's a really good grade. Courtney, I'll let you know if I pass on Friday. Hopefully I will, as it is my second go. Thank you for teaching me so much. Courtney, you are most welcome. So happy to hear that we can help out. And on the note of the live stream, as you may or may not know, next week is Halloween. My kids are like super excited that next week is Halloween. So we're going to do the live stream on Monday next week because I'm going to go out trick-or-treating with my kids. I'm Bob the Builder. That's my costume. Let me know in the comments what you're going to dress up for Halloween next Sunday. Yes, so next week's live stream, because Halloween is on Sunday next week, the live stream's on Monday, and we're doing situational awareness on the roadway. Where are you? What's going on? And who the heck is that person over there dressed up like a clown? Because clowns are freaky on Halloween. All right, Johnny, is there any situation where you recommend pulling over to the left of the road for an approaching emergency vehicle? You're in Ontario. Johnny, I don't usually recommend that you pull over to the left side of the road, just because you're not being predictable when you're pulling over to the left side of the road, and usually there's ample warning. I mean, unless you get absolutely caught out, or as what happened in Brooklyn, when I was going into Brooklyn, the emergency vehicles are coming up along the shoulder of the road. It's very tight, and I had to squeeze over to the left to let them go past. But, it's kind of a last resort, pulling over to the left to allow emergency vehicles to go by. Generally, what I recommend is trying to get over to the right, or simply just stopping and allowing the emergency vehicle to kind of figure out how to get past you for the purposes of safety and those types of things. Blessed said it's sunny here in Hawaii. Rick, very nice. Not to brag. Yeah. You're bragging, Blessed. You're absolutely bragging. Because it was not sunny here. It was windy and rainy and yucky here. We've had some absolutely spectacular fall days here because we haven't had a heavy frost yet, which has brought the leaves off the trees. But, and it's been absolutely spectacular with the colors of the trees and those types of things. But it's not like, in Hawaii. And, I'm actually thinking that this winter I'm actually going to take my first beach holiday in February because the winter, it gets me down. So I think I'm going to take a beach holiday this year. Courtney, Rick would be an amazing Bob the Builder. I want to see that in a picture. Okay, I'll take a picture and I'll post it on the community tab for you guys next week. And the other thing that's happening here at Smart Drive Test, I'm starting an experiment. I went to the conference in New York State, in Albany, for People of Video. All these people did presentations on anything to do with YouTube. It was presenters, curators, talking to creators about how to do YouTube and how to do it better and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Nobody talked about YouTube Shorts. So I talked to Shelly Nathan, who's at TubeBuddy, and she's very knowledgeable, and she talked about YouTube Shorts. She talked about Instagram stories, and she talked about TikTok, and these people were encouraging me to do stories. So, starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm releasing one story every day, 7 days a week for the next year, because I'm going to give it a good go here and see what happens. So this is what we're doing. So check it out tomorrow, 9 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. Releasing our first short, and we're going to do one short every day for 365 days. I have somebody to help me who's come on board, who's going to help me do the shorts, and we're going to see how it goes. I'll let you know here. In about a month here, we'll check back in and see how the shorts are working out for you. And if you have any suggestions, any topics that you would like me to do in terms of short videos, I can do that, and we can work it out. Blessed, that's cool. You would love it here in Hawaii. Blessed, it is absolutely magic. I had one time I was in the airport in Hawaii and I was just thinking, oh my God, this place, I could just feel it in the air. It was absolutely magic. I would absolutely love that. Ben, have you any suggestions for me with a YouTube channel? Ben, I'd have to kind of look around and see what you're doing to help you out. Mallory, it has turned colder here in Nova Scotia, in the Maritimes here in Canada, and yes, that's not surprising. Jenna, Newfoundland drivers notoriously keep moving when emergency vehicles are coming. If I encounter idiots not letting me move over and stop on my road test, what do I do? Jenna, if there's an emergency vehicle on your driver's test, do the best you can to move to the right, but it's more important to get your vehicle stopped for an emergency than it is to get over to the right. So if you can't get over to the right and other drivers are doing stuff that's goofy and those types of things, just stop. And this is the other piece for those of you who are preparing for your driver's test in the next week or the coming months or those types of things. If you get into a situation on your driver's test or into a driving situation, this goes for everybody, just stop. You only have to stop for 10 or 15 seconds. The traffic's going to figure out what it's doing and clear off and those types of things. Just stop. The traffic will clear, and then you carry on. Some drivers have gotten into trouble on driver's tests or gotten into crashes because they think they kind of have to plow through the chaos and the melee of the driving situation, when in reality, the better response of you as the captain of the ship is to simply stop. Stop your vehicle, wait for the traffic to clear, and then proceed when you know exactly what you're going to be able to do in a predictable fashion when you're driving. All right. Brandon, how much should you adjust your speed if there's snow on the road, if there's a specific number, or should it vary based on how bad it is? Brandon, very much depends on how bad it is for the purposes of driving in snow. Usually, and I'm saying this very loosely, how fast most of the traffic is going in the snow is probably how fast you should be driving if you don't have a lot of experience with driving, okay? Just keep up with the traffic flow, because if it's bad out, if there's lots of snow and the roads are snow covered and those types of things, the traffic flow is going to slow down. They're not going to be going faster than 25 or 30 miles an hour or 50 or 60 kilometers an hour because of the ice and snow on the roadways. They're going to slow down because they know it's slippery. And one other thing, please don't do this. If the weather gets bad outside, don't put your four-way flashers on. That is so annoying. All of the other drivers, we know that the weather is bad outside. You don't have to put your four-way flashers on to tell us it's bad. We know it's bad. Just drive with your lights on, windshield wipers on, defroster on, roll one of your windows down a little bit, and you'll be fine, okay? Just stay with the other traffic and look for your landmarks. And, I'll put some more videos up on winter driving and those types of things, and all of that will help you out. And Corey's just put up the video on how to learn to drive in the winter and snow, and that video will definitely help you out if you have some more concerns about driving in the wintertime. The other piece about learning how to drive in the wintertime, many of you are coming into your driver's tests, and I know that some of you are thinking that I'm going to postpone getting my driver's test, getting my driver's license until next spring or next summer. Don't do that. It's easier to get your driver's license in the wintertime. The test is actually easier in the wintertime. They are more forgiving. And watch the video on the winter driving test. You don't have to stop at the stop lines because you can't see the road markings in the wintertime. You just have to stop before the sidewalk at the intersection. So I strongly encourage you, take your driver's test in the wintertime. You're going to find that it's going to be easier, okay? So do that for me. Sean, do I have a Tailgaters video? I don't have a Tailgaters video, but the one thing that I say to you about Tailgaters, if you can, just pull over and let them go past, okay? The other thing is just increase your following distance in front, because now you're driving for yourself and you're driving for the goofball behind you. So increase your following distance. Don't do anything aggressive. Okay, don't slow down. Don't jam on your brakes. Don't speed up. Don't play their game. Okay? Don't react to the person who's tailgating you. Just increase your following distance in front, and then have nice, gentle, steering and nice, aggressive, nice, easy braking, and that will keep you safe. Okay? Falcon, if you're doing a G test, if you're asked to switch lanes from left to right, will you be failed for speeding if you're going with the flow of traffic, or is 100 kilometers still apply? Okay, Falcon, you have to do the speed limit for the purposes of a driver's test. You cannot speed. You cannot go 10 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. If you keep up with traffic flow on a driver's test, you won't be successful. You will not pass. Period. Okay? That will be a fail on a driver's test. You must drive the posted speed limit for the purposes of a driver's test. I can't stress that enough. Okay? Ben, I passed no problem in the winter last December. Yes. So you can pass in the wintertime and take your driver's test. Mallory, can you please explain what a slip lane is and what it means, please, and thank you. Mallory, a slip lane is a right turning lane. So when you come up to an intersection, it's usually a complex intersection with traffic lights and multiple lanes, left turning lanes, right turning lanes. A slip lane is another bit of terminology for a right turning lane. And usually with slip lanes, there's also a crosswalk there for pedestrians, and they're usually, but not always, sometimes it can just be painted on the roadway, but most of the time with a slip lane, a right turning lane, there's also a concrete island where the traffic light is, and it's a refuge for pedestrians who are crossing the street. They can stand there on the concrete island. So maybe that's another video, a short that I could do on slip lanes and right turning lanes. Slip lane, I'm just writing this down here, and then I can do a little short on it, and then I can clarify that terminology, because the other piece, this is something I learned a few weeks ago, one of the smart drivers left a comment in the comment section asking what flush medians were, if they were the same as painted islands. And then, of course, I had to go off and look up what flush medians were. And yes, flush medians are painted islands on the roadway. They're one and the same thing. But in New Zealand, they call them flush medians, whereas here in Canada, we call them painted islands. So just more driving terminology. Ben, any suggestions for new winter drivers? Yes, Ben. Go back and watch the presentation. But the first and foremost thing in terms of winter driving is to make sure that you have good winter tires on your vehicle. And I recommend Michelin's. I personally like Michelin's. I don't get paid by Michelin, but I like Michelin tires. If you have a different brand that you like, but for matching winter tires on your vehicle. The other piece, and Corey will put up the video for you on tires with Gary. Gary works here at Tireland in town. Put your winter tires on steel rims, and then that way you have them and you can just bolt them onto your car, and it's going to save you money overall instead of changing your tires out on rims and those types of things. All right. Where'd he go? Okay. Brian, good night, my friend. All the best. Turtle, Rick at the 70s show came back and they offer you US Red, brother. Would you accept? Turtle, probably make more money. Yes, I would. That would be fun. Zach, I passed my driving test first try the other month after listening to lots of your advice. Thank you very much. You're most welcome. Zach, that's awesome. And Corey's put up top 10 winter driving tips for winter driving there. That'll help you out as well. Probably some of these winter driving videos need to be redone and reshot as well. Okay. Turtle, I failed my driving test because I did not drive the speed limit. Yes, and that is a fairly common mistake with people who don't take driver training. If you don't drive the speed limit, the posted speed limit for the purposes of your driving test, you're not going to be successful on your driving test. Okay. Epic, really excellent tips here, fellow smart drivers. During the wintertime, some drivers will try to go behind a salt spreader truck since it might reduce the risk of skidding. Yeah, on black ice. So Epic, excellent information there about the salt truck, the sander truck. Don't get close to the sander truck and the salt truck, especially here in British Columbia, because I swear that some of the rocks that come out of there are the size of a baseball, and they will wreck a windshield very quickly. And on that note of windshield chips, you're going to get a lot of windshield chips in the wintertime if you're driving in snow and ice and they're putting a lot of sand and salt on the roadway, because those stones get kicked up onto your windscreen. If you take your vehicle into a glass shop, for most of you, if you have a collision on your vehicle, it's going to be covered by insurance. However, for people like me who don't have collision, because I have the buggy that's 23 years old, it's only about $50 or $60 to get those stone chips fixed. Now, if you let them go, eventually what's going to happen is the windshield's going to crack, and then you'll have to take the vehicle in and get the windshield replaced. Getting the windshield replaced at minimum is going to be $500, depending on the type of vehicle that you have. So try to get your vehicle in and try to get those chips repaired as quickly as possible, because that will prevent you from having to buy a new windshield. Okay, so stone chips, get them in as quickly as you can. Like, for example, you go out, you do a trip, you get a stone chip, drive right to the glass shop and get them fixed, because in my experience, if you wait a couple of weeks, the vehicle moves, the windshield moves in there, and that's what causes the crack. And once the crack happens, then you can't save the windshield. Okay. Martinez, a quick question. When I was driving, I leaned to the right. Martinez, can you reword that? Because I'm not sure what you're asking me there. Johnny, I can't wait to take my G2 test next spring. I learned so much from your videos. Thanks, Rick. Johnny, why next spring? Why not earlier, my friend? PC, your guidance helped me pass my G license. Thank you so much. You are amazing. May you prosper. Thank you so much, PC. And the same to you and your family as well, my friend. All the very best. All right. Diana, I took my test the third time during winter last year. Thanks to Rick. I also recommend taking it during the winter. Excellent. That is awesome, awesome news. And Brandon, we have salt trucks here. Never heard of sand trucks before. Yes. Brandon, one of the things that we have here in Western Canada is we have something called pickle mix, which is a combination of salt and sand. Because salt only works down to about -8 degrees Celsius, which is about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it gets colder than that, salt won't work anymore on ice. So then they just use sand and put sand on the roadways to try and give traction to vehicles driving on slippery conditions. So know that, okay? Goose, I've never seen black ice in my life come out of a pop machine. Goose, yeah, we can talk about black ice. We can have that discussion because it's just ice. It's just ice. But that's just my personal thing. Unfortunately, we're not going to get rid of that term anytime soon. But there are times to know when there's ice on the roadways. There's 5 different scenarios when you may have ice on the roadways that you can't see. All right? Low-lying areas when it's cold. Any place on the roadway that lies in shadow. High elevations, you're going to get ice on the roadway. Any place on the roadway that runs near a body of water. And then lastly, there's one more. Anytime that there's precipitation overnight, for example, there's fog overnight or there's a lot of precipitation and then it gets cold in the morning, that will cause that precipitation to freeze on the roadway and form ice. For example, here in British Columbia with mountains and in Alberta and Washington State and Oregon and places like that, the mountains are so high that the clouds are actually hanging on the mountains and the roadway actually drives through the cloud. It's not fog, it looks like fog, but it's actually a cloud that you're driving through. And because of that precipitation, as the temperature drops overnight, in the morning it's at its coldest, and because that precipitation has dropped onto the roadway, there aren't any cars going over the roadway to break that up, because remember, it's like a bridges and overpasses. That's the other one. Thank you, Goose. Think of it like a river. If the river's moving fast, that water's not going to freeze. But if it's deep water, it's going to freeze. And it's the same thing with a roadway. If you have a roadway with a lot of traffic on it, it's not going to form ice. But if you get a roadway that doesn't have any minimal traffic on it overnight, then that's going to allow the ice to freeze on the roadway. And that's when you're going to get ice that you can't see on the roadway. So those places, again, bridges and overpasses, as Goose said, high elevations, low elevations, any place where the roadway dips, and then any place where the road goes past a body of water is where you're going to get ice forming on the roadway. Johnny said, I got my G1 this past summer, and in Ontario you must wait at least 8 months before you get your G2. Okay, so G2, that's the reason. So I missed that bit. All right, good night, Ben. Martinez, while I'm driving, I kind of lean to the right. Sometimes I get it fully straight while I am on my lane. Okay, so Martinez, I think what you're thinking is you're moving around in the car. You don't have to move around in the car while you're driving. But again, when you go around curves, if you're going around a right-hand curve, you want to be staying to the left. If you're going around a left-hand curve, you want to stay to the right for the longest line through the curve, and that will help you out. Jello, tips for saving fuel in a manual car. Okay, Gello, manual car. It's this simple. Get through the gears as quickly as you can, okay? And you want the highest gear for the lowest RPM. That's going to help you to save fuel in a manual car. As well, be sure that you're trying to shift through the gears as quickly as possible. And have a look at the video that I have on shifting faster. Corey will put that up for you, and that'll help you out with fuel economy on a manual transmission. When you're out on the highway, in terms of a manual transmission, use the cruise control as much as you can, and that'll help you to save fuel. And then, of course, keep your vehicle tuned, keep your tire pressure up as best you can, and all of that will help you out in terms of fuel economy. Canadian fellow, I'm a bit worried about not being able to see the lines on the road while it's covered in snow, especially when nobody has driven on the road yet. Canadian fellow, you're going to be pretty good, okay? And if you can't see the roadway because of snow and those types of things, make sure that you're looking for traffic signs along the roadway. You're looking for utility poles or any other markers that will indicate where the road is. It's pretty easy. Look for intersections, look for houses along the roadways. Watch the night driving video, and that will help you out to look for landmarks while you're driving in the winter time. Mallory, when I'm out driving around town with my parents, I think about all the tips and information that I've learned from your channel. Thank you for your videos. You're a great teacher, and thank you for that compliment. Mallory, that's awesome. So happy we can help out. Jaden, sorry, I haven't been posting much recently on Facebook because I just lost a family member in a car accident. And I am very sorry about that, Jaden. That's really tough, my friend. Very tough to lose somebody in a car crash, for sure. Canadian fellow, hello from London, Ontario. I'm a rather new driver, and I am worried about having trouble seeing the lines on the road where they are covered by snow, especially when nobody has driven on the road yet. Canadian fellow, again, you're going to be fine, okay? So just watch the night driving video, and all the tips and skills that I give you will help you out with that. And again, the other one, Corey's put up the video here. Just scroll back in the comments about how to drive in snow in the winter time, and that will help you out as well. That will really help you out with that challenge that you're having with driving in the winter time. Okay, thanks for the tips on your next live video. I'll give you the result on my test on Friday. That's awesome. All the best, Martinez, and good luck on that. And check out Pass Your Driver's Test first time course package over at the Smart Drive Test website. Guaranteed to pass your driver's test. As a bonus, we throw in both the defensive and winter driving smart courses. So you can pick that up for about $38 over at the Smart Drive Test website. We're talking all about winter driving. We're going to talk a lot more about winter driving as we head into the winter months here. Take your test in the winter time. It's easier to take your test in the winter time. Excuse me. Take your test in the winter time, because most of the time, 90% of the time in the winter time, the roads are clear. Okay, they're perfectly clear. You can drive on them. It's safe. They're not compromised and those types of things. The other thing with driving in the wintertime, the farther you get away from the main roads, the more slippery it's going to be, the more snow and those types of things. They're going to plow those last. But the major roads and highways, they're all going to be plowed and salted and sanded and those types of things. So it's going to be fine in the wintertime to drive on those roadways. Matthew, hey Rick, doing my AZ knowledge test tomorrow. Do you know how many questions are on that? Matthew, I believe that there are 50 general knowledge tests for the A part of the test. I think there's 30 air brake questions. And then I can't remember whether they've taken the C off of that test or not. But there might be some bus questions there as well. Or, you would have to ask a driving examiner or an instructor whether there's any bus questions or not for the AZ test. But I think that's basically what it is, if I can remember correctly. I think it's 30 air brake questions. It might even be 25 air brake questions. Or it's 50 tractor trailer questions. And remember that for the AZ test, that there's a lot of car questions. There's a lot of G questions. So make sure you've studied those as well for the purposes of your theory test there. Goose, uphill parking is fun to teach in the winter when you can't see the curb hidden under the snow. Yes, and the other thing, Goose, is that you don't really want them backing into the snowbank, so you just want them pointing the wheels, not really letting it go back and lean against the curb. Blessed, you have a great week as well, my friend. Canadian fellow, thank you. I really appreciate your advice. I would ask my mom, but she's honestly a pretty bad driver and drives very angry and aggressive. Awesome. Thank you. I'm sure your mom would be interested to see what your mom said about that. Adola, I wanted to know if there is a trick to getting the 2-point reverse turn at one go. Just practice, but have a look at the 2-point reverse video here, and that will help you out with some strategies as well. Corey will put that video up for you. Brandon, are front-wheel drive better than rear-wheel drive cars in the snow? I know you alluded to earlier in the snowy hills are easier, but I've heard front-wheel drive. Oh, absolutely, Brandon. No, front-wheel drive are much, much better in the winter time than rear-wheel drive. If you have an opportunity, don't drive a rear-wheel drive in the winter time. most vehicles are going to be four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. It's very unlikely you're going to get a rear-wheel drive vehicle now in this day and age. PC, hey Rick, I'm in Toronto and bought a new Camry with all-season tires. I did not change tires last winter, but this year I think I should get winter tires. Your thoughts? PC, I'm a huge Michelin fan, so if you get a good set of winter tires, even cheap winter tires are going to be better than all-season tires. So, it's up to your preference. And usually Michelin has a $70 mail-in rebate, which I have gotten in the past. And, they're really quick at getting that rebate out to you. So I would suggest that as well. Okay. 22, after a few months of getting your license, do you get more confident? Yes, you get more confident as you get more practice, but it's just a matter of practicing, getting out on the road and driving and those types of things. All right, so we're going to leave it there for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your participation, your great questions and feedback and participation in the live stream. Smart Drive Test, as I said to a friend of mine today, is about achievement, empowerment, and success. That's what we do here. That's what we help you with to get your driver's license and be a safer, smarter driver or start a career as a CDL driver. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.